California real estate developer, 32-year-old Tim Egan, is found stabbed, bleeding, laying in the street. It was about an hour after a drunken brawl with his business partner, Zach Court.
We know that then ended and was broken up, and Tim's business partner and Tim parted ways.
And what motivated the fight?
We do not. No, we do
It's
not.
just two drunk guys.
We really don't know. I've asked Zach, and he can't remember.
Can't remember or isn't saying?
Do you believe him, or you think he's withholding information?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that.
Crime Watch Daily reached out to Tim's partner, Zach Court, but he declined to be interviewed for the story. He has cooperated with police and is not a person of interest in this investigation. Tim was only 3 blocks from his house when he was found laying in the gutter.
Who finds Tim?
There was a resident in the neighborhood that was arriving home, and she found Tim.
In a strange twist of fate, cops are already in the neighborhood, responding to a domestic dispute. At the time, it seems totally unrelated to the attack on Tim, but that could all change. Police call for paramedics within minutes, but it's already too late. By the time the ambulance arrives, Tim Egan is dead. His family, living in San Diego, more than 300 miles away, receives the tragic early morning phone call.
We were literally in a daze. We were just shocked.
How did Tim die?
Tim died from a wound to the abdomen.
Stabbed?
The assumption is it's a stab, yes.
But who stabbed Tim and why? Stockton PD begins an extensive investigation to track down Tim's murderer.
We just assumed it would be a matter of hours or days, and nothing.
No arrest. And after 3 long months, the family is frustrated. Tim's dad hires a private investigator, but he's no outsider. Jerry Swanson is a former Stockton police detective turned PI.
Mr. Egan came into the office and wanted to hire us to do some additional work on Tim's case. See if there's any new information out there, and that's what we did.
Fresh set of eyes?
Yes.
PI Swanson, with 40-plus years working homicides, hits the streets. I'm invited along to join the retired cop and determined father as they retrace Tim's final hours that fateful night.
What was your first course of action?
Well, Jeff asked us to come out and canvass the neighborhood, talk to people, put out flyers, let people know that there's a reward.
The first stop is the bar where Tim and his business partner, Zach Court, and the small group of friends came to celebrate a potential investment deal.
Maybe after 2.5 hours, there was an argument between the bouncer, I believe, and Tim. And then so Tim was asked to leave, and that may have been as late as 10:45.
Then Tim reportedly heads across the street to another bar. The bartender claims he and his business partner stayed for about 20 minutes before leaving.
And for some reason, they got involved in a scuffle, and that, from what I understand, started here and went out into the street, and then it was broken up shortly after.
Tim is over there after the scuffle, and then what? He starts to walk home?
Zach and the friend went that way next door, and Tim was seen walking down the street in that direction, which is the direction home.
So we follow the same route Tim took home that night to the location where he would end up dead.
Jerry, how do we know that Tim walked here and his body wasn't dumped?
He walked from the east to the west, and we know that because he rounded the corner down at Madison and Poplar around a small grocery store, neighborhood store. They have a video camera, surveillance, and Tim was caught on that surveillance.
But as PI Swanson finds out, this surveillance video isn't the last time Tim will be seen that night.
Did you glean any new information from when you went and canvassed the area?
Yes, we did. We talked to a lot of neighbors.
And Swanson uncovers explosive new evidence in the form of 2 eyewitnesses.
There were 2 people sitting out on their porch that saw Tim walk by.
They tell Swanson that Tim looked disheveled and appeared to have a wound on his head.
They spoke to him real briefly. Hey, are you okay? He said he was, and he kept on walking.
But minutes later, Tim won't be okay. He'll be dead. Then Swanson discovers something that stops him in his tracks. Remember that call that brought cops to the neighborhood the night Tim was stabbed? Maybe it wasn't so unrelated after all.
Was this the source of the domestic dispute call that actually had brought the cops to the area where they discovered Tim?
That's what I understand, yes.
Neighbors tell P.I. Swanson that after Tim's body was discovered, a woman joined them on their porch. And just who was this mystery woman?
Turned out to be the lady from the domestic violence call.
And neighbors say she goes on to tell them a disturbing story about her boyfriend and Tim.
The lady said that the boyfriend was in an altercation with Tim across the street, and he walked over to this location and collapsed and apparently died here.
He just seized up and laid down, her words.
That Tim just seized up and laid down?
Mm-hmm.
According to Swanson, this information is a game changer for the investigation.
It indicates that these two people, if this lady was telling the truth about being there with her boyfriend, that they were on scene about the time that Tim was murdered, or that Tim collapsed.
Swanson says he can now prove this couple, the two people involved in the domestic call, are the last two people to see Tim alive. He points to the police logs from that night. They're in black and white. It's a shocking timeline of events. At 1:29 a.m., Stockton police officers arrive on Poplar Street responding to a domestic disturbance call. Then, at 1:54 a.m., the logs show cops respond to an unresponsive male, who turns out to be Tim Egan.
It's happening around the same exact time when Tim is walking through the neighborhood.
According to the police logs, these two incidents were less than 30 minutes apart and mere feet away, happening on the very same street. Coincidence?
Seems coincidental, at least.
But when P.I. Swanson attempts to talk to the couple in question,
Nobody knew who they were.
that's right, no one knows their names, and making matters even worse, they moved out of their apartment shortly after Tim's murder. Despite not having the couple's names or a known address, Swanson keeps digging.
With some further investigation with property management, the address, who was living there at the time, we came up with the names of the people that were living there.
After that, the persistent PI finds the couple's photos on Facebook, along with a new location.
They had moved to Nevada.
So they moved out of state.
Yes.
In a totally separate incident, Crime Watch Daily has uncovered this same couple has been involved in another domestic dispute involving a knife. The woman was arrested and accused of cutting her boyfriend with a meat cleaver. Investigator Swanson tracked down that couple and shared his findings with former colleagues at the Stockton Police Department.
They've been receptive?
Yes, and recently the detective has gone over there and interviewed both of them. What he found out, I don't know.
But I would like to know what cops found out from this mysterious couple now living in Nevada. So I pay Stockton PD a visit.
We're going to go inside, see if we can meet with their public information officer to determine if anyone can come out here and just give us some comment on the investigation, the status. We'll see what happens.
Shortly thereafter, Stockton Public Information Officer Joe Silva meets me out front for an interview.
Somebody out there knows something, right?
Somebody out there definitely knows something.
And could it be the couple in Nevada?
There was definitely that incident that occurred, and our investigators have been working with the involved people, trying to piece together exactly what they saw and what they heard. But at this point, it still hasn't generated any type of new information that would help us find and identify a suspect in this case.
According to police, the couple in Nevada, neither the man nor the woman are considered suspects and have never been charged in connection with Tim's death. Despite the frustration in trying to find his son's killer, Tim's father continues to push for answers.
I think somebody saw something, somebody knows something. I know your show has millions of viewers, and I know that, and I hope that one of those viewers is the right person.
The family is now offering a $40,000 reward. Until Tim's murder is solved, his loved ones are having a hard time living with the heartbreak.
What do you miss most about Tim?
Everything. I think when I see my grandsons, Tim's two nephews, and I realize that they're only going to know their uncle through stories and through photos, and it's just not fair.
Anyone with information about the case is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-209-946-0600. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.